Drop 6 men into the Arctic Circle with nothing but the clothes on their backs, and the physics of the environment take over immediately. They have exactly 7 days to survive in a place where zero human infrastructure exists. The immediate threat here is not starvation, it is the ambient sub-zero temperature, multiplied by a high-velocity wind chill that strips heat from the human body faster than metabolism can replace it. Out here, the margin for error is functionally zero. Just 10 minutes of direct exposure to that wind can cause the tissue in a human limb to freeze solid. The physical deterioration begins at the extremities. When toes lose blood flow, the skin turns a stark white, a condition called frostnip, which serves as the final warning before permanent frostbite takes hold. To prevent total panic, the team operates with a safety net. A rescue plane passes overhead once a day, and anyone can shoot a flare to instantly evacuate, provided they are willing to shave their head before stepping onto the plane. Survival out here is a race to engineer life-saving interventions before the body undergoes physiological shutdown and forces a psychological breaking point. To stop that rapid heat loss, the first priority is getting out of the wind. That requires digging into the snowpack to carve out a shelter. This animated diagram shows exactly how a properly built snow cave functions. The humans inside act as localized heat sources. That thermal energy radiates upward, and the dense packed snow of the ceiling traps it inside, assuming the roof is thick enough to avoid collapsing under its own weight. But trapping rising heat only solves half the thermodynamic problem. If you lie directly on the frozen ground, the ice drains that heat right out of your body through conduction. To stop that conductive loss, you have to break the physical contact. A thick layer of harvested spruce branches creates an insulating pocket of air between the human body and the ice. A snow cave is an architectural mechanism designed to capture the body's natural thermal output and turn the group into their own furnace. By day 2, the trapped body heat inside the cave is no longer sufficient. Clothes become soaked from melting snow, creating an urgent need for an external heat source to prevent hypothermia. Starting a fire in a post-blizzard environment introduces a massive obstacle. Overnight blizzards leave surface wood soaking wet and chemically incapable of holding a spark. The solution is locating standing dead trees. Even when the outside bark is plastered in wet snow, the inner layers protect a completely dry core. To access that dry fuel, you use a technique called feathering. Shaving the dry core into thin, curled strips creates massive surface area, allowing a single spark to catch and ignite. Once that tinder catches, you can establish a sustainable blaze. This is required for 2 operations: thawing out frozen gear and boiling snow for drinking water. Fire in the Arctic requires exploiting the hidden, dry elements buried within a frozen landscape. On day 5, the team's calorie reserves run dry. Without food, the body loses the internal fuel required to maintain its core temperature. The initial attempt to fish right outside camp ends in failure. The static lake ice is an impenetrable block that the team's auger cannot physically pierce. They deploy a drone to find a new geographic target, an intersecting river. Moving water creates constant friction beneath the surface, which thins the ice sheet from below. Reaching that river requires a grueling trek. To conserve energy, the team uses cross-country skis and wide snowshoes to distribute their weight and avoid sinking waist-deep into the powder. After drilling through the river ice, the team waits 7 hours for a single bite. When a fish finally hooks, it requires plunging a bare hand straight into the freezing water to stop the meal from escaping. Fresh calories are the high-octane fuel for the body's internal furnace. Catching food is the final requirement for maintaining core temperature. When the exhausted fishing team returns with protein, they arrive at a camp where a designated crew has successfully maintained a fire and a boiling water station. The contrast in the team's condition is visible. The panic of the first night has been replaced by calculated, systemic operations by day 7. Raw willpower is insufficient for surviving the deep Arctic. Stability in this environment is achieved only by mastering a strict sequence of operations, preparing the insulation, securing the fuel, and adapting to the geography. By dismantling environmental threats step by step, humans can establish a stable existence in the most hostile places on Earth.